Class, Miss Thomas here. So we are starting a brand new unit, and this whole unit is titled Let's Make a Difference. Let's make a difference. So the big idea is how can people make a difference? All right, so that's a pretty big idea, and we're going to read some stories and learn about some topics that might inspire us in some unique and new ways so that we too can make a difference out in the world or even just in our own communities and in our own home, in our own classroom, within our own families. All of these good things to give us ideas and new ways of looking at things. So let's make a difference is our big idea. So with that comes a brand new essential question for the week. So our essential question is kind of looking at ourselves. So what do good citizens do? What's a citizen? A citizen is a person within a community. So what do we do? What do others do that are good? What do good citizens do? How does a good citizen, act? And what do they do to contribute and make good choices? So hopefully we can learn to do the same. All right, so again, the essential question is what do good citizens do? So we're going to read a story today, and it is about a young boy, and the story is titled A Difficult Decision. So even just there, listening to the title of the story, I already kind of have some questions going through my brain. Remember, good readers ask questions as we read. Even when we just look at the pictures or when we read that title, we can start asking questions in our head in the hopes that as we read and as we look through those words, we're able to answer those questions. That helps us learn more, understand more, that helps with our comprehension. So again, it's called a difficult decision. While we read and try to figure out what do good citizens do, is there an example of good citizens in this story? As we read and try to answer that question, we're going to be practicing a skill. So our skill for the week and our standard for the week is I can explain a point of view. I can find a point of view in this story. So we're going to learn and practice together finding point of view. So this is brand new to us. Before we read, I want to talk to you a little bit about point of view and what that is. So point of view is basically asking you this question. Who's telling the story? Who is telling the story? Right before you click this video, you're going to see our anchor map. And on our anchor map, or our anchor chart, silly Miss Thomas, our anchor chart, you're going to see a picture of an owl. What does an owl usually say? Hoo, 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 hoo. So who, there's a picture of the owl, and that's going to remind you of the word who. And when we're thinking of point of view, we know that is what we're asking. Who's telling the story? So we have three choices, and you'll see it on the A. So if you want to, while I'm talking, go ahead and just scroll back up and look at that chart. So you're going to see three choices. So first person, so this could be a point of view. This could be somebody in the story. A character that is in the story is telling you about the story. So it's going to be maybe the very main person or whoever is going through some sort of struggle or adventure in the story. So there are clue words that we can find that will help us know and help prove if it's a first person story, if that character is telling the story. And these are going to be words like I, me, my family, my friends, I did this. So when the person is talking me, I, like talking all about, like when you write your stories and you say, I went to the park this weekend and I saw a manatee, or I was riding my bike with my brother, you're talking from first person, and that's a point of view. Oftentimes, this is the most common, okay? So you're going to see this one often in our classroom setting when we're sharing stories and talking about stories. So first person. Another option, so option number 2 is second person. So number 1 was first person, character in the story. Number 2 is called second person. And second person is there's a narrator, or the author is telling a story to you. So they're going to be telling you something like, do you know the book If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? Or if you give a moose a muffin, or all those different stories? The author or the narrator is telling you directly a story. So you're going to hear those clue words of you, yours, and it's all telling and directing at you. So the next one and the last possibility is third person. So first person, second person, third person. So third person, the author or the narrator, is not part of the story at all. So they're almost distant and they're just telling us about something that happened. So those clue words is going to be he, she, like over there. They're telling the story as if they're from kind of far away, like maybe they heard the story and they're letting us know and telling us about that story. All right. So today, I know that's a lot of information. So you can watch the video again, and we're going to talk about it more and more this week too. So today we're going to practice and see if we can figure out and even find a point of view in a story together. So I'm going to do it with you, and we're going to see if we can figure out if this story, a difficult decision, if it is first person, if a character is telling the story, if it's second person, where someone is telling you a story, or if it's third person, where somebody is telling us a distant story that they know of. So let's read together and see if we can find some clues. So we're going to create a tree map together today, and we're going to pull some text evidence. Okay, so we're going to go into the words, into the story, and find some of those clue words. Words like my, me, I, you. And we're going to see if we can pull out some of those key details, some of those words as clues, and see if we can figure out who's telling the story. So remember, the owl, when we're thinking of point of view, think of an owl sitting in a tree looking down. And he says, who, who. So we're going to be the owls, and we're going to be up and looking into our book, and we're going to see if we can figure out who is telling this story. Okay, whose point of view? Righty. So I'm excited already to do this with you. I'm going to start. Okay, and I'm going to see if I can find some examples, and we'll put it up here on the chart together. So before we begin, go ahead and write the title on a piece of paper. A difficult decision. That's the story. A difficult decision. So go ahead and write that on your piece of paper and underline it. That's the title of our assignment and the title of our story. And then we're going to start our tree map. You can pause it right here if you need to, just to write your main line right here, which is going to be the point of view. We're going to write who is writing the story. Who is writing the story? And then we're going to find some text evidence and some of those key words in our like hints of words in the story. So go ahead and pause real quick if you need to. Write your chart, your tree map, and then we'll begin. Alrighty. So we'll start. So listen as I read, and then you can scroll down too and read along with me. You'll hear my words as I read, scroll down, and you can follow along with me and see if you can spot some of those clue words. So again, it's when someone's talking, are they saying words like me, I, my? They're talking about themselves? Or are they saying other words talking about other people? You, yours, or they, he, she. So be thinking of those two different types of points of views as we go. So let's see how a good citizen comes into play too. Alrighty, listen up. So it starts like this. My best friend Paul and I were excited to go to the park after school. The park had a new fort. Ooh, that does sound fun. The parks department let the kids choose what kind of equipment to build. That's so cool. And the fort got the most votes. After school, Mom and I met Paul and his dad at the park. I'm already hearing, have you heard a couple of clue words? So let's write the first one that we heard. The story started out saying the word my. My best friend Paul and I. Can we write that sentence, the very first sentence? Again, pause the video if you need to, but I'm going to write it. My best friend and I. I'm going to write just that part. So right away, I'm going to underline my and I'm going to underline I because those are two clues to the point of view. Turn that a little bit. There you go. I changed my mind and I put a box around those words so we really see them and we notice them. And then after I write that, then I'll come back and I'll make my square around it. And again, this just helps us keep it nice and neat. So pause if you need, but I just wrote that sentence. My best friend and I, ... Okay, so already we've heard a couple clue words. Let's keep reading and see if we can find some more. So after school, Mom and I met Paul and his dad at the park. So you can write that one up if you want to as well. Next paragraph says, Paul and I raced to the top of the tower. I win! I'm the champion! I shouted. Look, Paul, someone left the newest Game Master here. It's mine now. Oh no, what did they find at the park? It looks like a Nintendo Switch or something. They said it's a Game Master. Someone left it. Oh no. So Paul said, Paul and I, we raced to the top of the tower. I win. I'm the champion. Are those some other clue words? So let's go ahead and write that on ours too. You can choose which one. If you want to write different than Mrs. Thomas, go ahead. I'm going to choose I win. I'm champion. I'm going to write. That's two examples of saying the word I. And then I'm going to go ahead and square and make a little box around each of those hints as well. So already, do we have an idea, before I keep reading, do we have a guess if we think this is first person, second person, or third person point of view? Do you have a guess? Already I know if it's first person, one of the characters in the story is telling it. So they're letting us know that it happened to them. They're saying, this happened to me, and then I, and my friend. So what do we think? What do we think? Go ahead and write it on your paper what you think, okay? And then we'll compare it with I think, okay? So let's write who, if we think it's first person, second person, or third person, okay? And then we'll see if we can figure this out. You ready? I'm gonna write mine. What'd you write? First person? Me too. Good job. Let's keep reading and find some more hints and clues. And it will support our point that we think it's first person. Let's find proof and text evidence. All right, keep listening. So they find this game master and he says, it's mine now. Paul raised his eyebrows and he looked thoughtful. Wyatt, you can't keep the game master, he said. You have a responsibility to return it. It's your duty. I asked, haven't you ever heard the saying, finders keepers, losers weepers? I have rights. I found it, so I'm claiming it. Ooh, this is a tough one, you guys. What would you do? Have you ever found something at the park or on the ground or something that didn't belong to you? Has this ever happened to you before? Let's keep reading and see what happens. You can do whatever you want, Wyatt. but you know that it's wrong to keep it, Paul said. So then he added, whenever there are issues like this at school, you're the one who helps solve the problems. Now you aren't taking your own advice. So then Paul added, I volunteered my thoughts. If you don't want to take the help I offered, there's nothing that I can do, he said. So as you read, I wrote the 2 first ones. I want you to pick 3 more clues or 3 more key details that point to what person it is, to point to the point of view. So find more words like I, me, my. So again, you can write them as we go or you can pause the video, okay? But find 3 more, add to our chart. Did we learn his name yet? Who do we think is telling the story? Who is the narrator? Who is the person telling the story? His name is Wyatt. Wyatt. How do you spell it? W. So I'm just going to write that up on our map since he's one of the main characters. That's also supporting and proving that it's first person because Wyatt is the main character in this story. All right, so you add that to your chart too. Okay, I'm going to keep reading and you follow along with me and add more as we go, okay? So poor Paul. So he's letting him know, hey, I gave you my advice. That's all I can do right now. You got to make this choice. What are you going to do? So Paul was right. I couldn't keep the game because it wasn't mine. The person who lost it would be upset. I cleared my throat and I said in my best deep voice, I've determined that you are right. I'm delighted that you decided to do the right thing, said Paul. We told my mother what happened, and she walked around the park with us so that we could find the owner of the game master. Soon we saw a boy and his mom looking for something. He looked hopeless, and he burst into tears when we asked him if the game was his. Yes, he wailed. I lost my game master a little while ago. Oh, I should have been more careful. Afterward, Mom and I walked home. I was glad that I returned the toy to the boy. So I made a promise to myself to always try to do the right thing. Now that's a vow I can keep. So look at that. Wow, Wyatt went through something today at the park, didn't he? I'll show you the pictures there. They're having the conversation and his friend is telling him, you got to do the right thing. Is this the choice that you want to make? It doesn't belong to you. And then here they are. Very, very nice. So did you find some more? Did you find some more examples of the point of view as you read? Find 3 more, please, to add to our tree map today. And then I have a question for you. So I want you to answer this as well. So this is answering back to our essential question, which is how are good people citizens? Like how are they a good citizen? What's an example of that? So how are Paul and Wyatt good citizens? What did they do that shows that they're good people in their community? What choices did they make? So I want you to answer that in complete sentences for me. Let me know. What is something you do to be a good citizen? Is there something that you do? We did a lesson earlier in the year and we talked about helping our community in different ways. And we talked about picking up trash when we see it and making sure that we make sure to get everything in the garbage. We talked about recycling. We talked about using less plastics and trying to reuse things like water bottles. We can fill up our water bottle instead of buying new water bottles from the store. So those are just some of the examples. So tell me something that you do to be a good citizen. Do you think you would have done the same thing if you found a brand new Nintendo Switch at the park? Would you go find the owner and be a good citizen just like Wyatt and Paul? So I want you to answer those questions. Scroll down and you'll see those in your lesson as well. All right, well, enjoy your day. Will you let me know if you have any questions at all? I look forward to reading your responses and seeing your tree maps as well. Alrighty, I'll talk to you later.